Hi there, in this week's video we continue with my last ever wardrobe build and we pick up where we left off in part 3 with everything cut to size, and I was routing the grooves in the rails and stiles to take the panels and the loose tenons. Okay, well that's our first door dry fitted. This is a little skinny one that goes on the end, really skinny bookcase set of shelves. I've got the two to do from the double and then the angled one, which is proving fiddly by any stretch of the imagination, but no major problems. Had to trim the center panel back a little bit. It was a couple of mil long, but no real problems with any of this. So I'm going to get those glued up and in clamps, leave those overnight to set, and then everything will be ready for a prep and start painting tomorrow. But yeah, first a quick break because I'm absolutely shattered, and you shouldn't be operating machinery or doing glue ups when you're a bit weary. So quick break, then back. It's 4 o'clock now, so get these rattled through the next couple of hours. So a cup of tea and a chocolate biscuit later, and we're in full door making mode. Now this will be familiar to anyone who's seen any of the previous wardrobe build videos or any of my door builds. To be honest, there are links in the video description to those if you haven't caught them yet. If you remember, I cut the panels a couple of millimeters undersized to make the glue ups easier, so it's important to clamp the doors up just across the rails. This pulls the rails and stiles together tightly, whereas if you clamped across the stiles, you run the risk of pulling them out of shape due to the undersized panel. Okay, so the angled door's gone together okay, but as tempting as it is, I'm not going to try and glue this up tonight because I'm exhausted. And that's usually when you start making stupid mistakes. So I can get this glued up and in clamps first thing in the morning, be prepping everything else, and by the time I'm finished with that, I'll be able to prep this one. The glue will be dry enough to handle. So yeah, actually, no great problems with it. Lots of careful sort of measuring and doing angles and stuff. This will all pull together quite nicely, but very hard to get clamps on it. But there we are, that's what we do. Anyway, enough for now. Back at this in the morning. Not feeling it on this job, not at all. Yeah, you're working okay. Goodness me, this job's just turned into a bit of a nightmare. Microphone battery just died, so I put my spare in. That was dead as well. I've been carrying a dead battery around as a spare for the last goodness knows how many months. I managed to cut myself shaving quite badly this morning, so yep, glad I'm not going near anything sharp and spinning today. So anyway, other doors are all glued up and they're fine. I can crack on with the angled door now, get that in clamps, and I can start prepping the others. Given the state of how things have gone on this job, I think I might dig my Graco out and make sure that's working, because that would just be the icing on the cake if that wasn't working. Haven't touched it for a few months because I'm not doing much of this kind of work anymore. Yeah, if I can't spray the stuff, then I'm in for a much longer painting session. So I might just charge the batteries on that now. In fact, tell you what I'll do. I'll stick the battery on charge. Then I'll get this glued up and in clamps and press on But yeah, not great. Now, putting together the angled door is exactly the same process as the straight doors, just a little harder to clamp up. By the way, whenever I make these loose tenon doors, I always get someone telling me that I'm doing it wrong and that I shouldn't be gluing in the panel. I've made the point many times, and I'll make it here again. The reason for leaving the panel loose would be to allow for movement, natural expansion and contraction of timber due to environmental changes of temperature and humidity, or because the panel is a different material from the rest of the door. Well, firstly, I don't live where we have significant changes of humidity. Secondly, the entire door is made from the same material, so if any changes did occur, they'd be consistent throughout the door. And thirdly, that material is moisture resistant, or MRMDF, which is an exceptionally stable man-made board and is perfect for this application. So yes, I glue in the panels, but obviously if you live where you have extremes of temperature or humidity, or if you're using different materials, then you should adapt the method of construction to suit both your environment and the materials that you're using. Okay, well that was more of a challenge than it should have been. Just could not get dry fitted perfectly yesterday. A couple of clamps on that and all pulled up tight, but there was a big gap there today and had to, just couldn't pull it up tight. So I had to do the two clamp trick where you clamp one off another, and in fact I had to put another one in the middle just to pull those tight. But that seems to be okay for the moment. Might just leave that for a bit and come back to that in a minute. Ooh, okay, a filthy day. Chucking it down out there. The Graco is working, at least it sprays water. It'll probably choke me and get some paint in it. Anyway, but first hurdle passed. It is actually spraying, so fingers crossed that'll be okay. I think this has had, where are we? Been about half an hour, so that's dry enough to be able to move. I'll get the others in, get those cleaned up, sanded, and a little bit of filler as required, and then we can crack on with everything else. So with the angled door out of clamps and moved gently out of the way, the other doors get the usual treatment of a thorough sanding of the faces. And then at this stage I can offer up the pair of double doors to see if one edge matches better than the other. Doesn't seem to be much difference in these, to be honest, so I can just mark up one edge as the lead and the other as the hinge side. Next I can trim off the loose tenons with the track saw. Then drill out the hinge pockets. And drill the hinge mounting points. I've transferred the hinge positions from the door to a rod or story stick, and with the carcass sides on the bench I can mark them up. And drill them out. 3 hinges for each door. And next it's sanding time. Every door, every carcass, every side, every base, every top, every shelf gets sanded on both faces and all around the edges. And then they get cleaned up with a vacuum, or as here, with a tack cloth. Okay, that's that. Everything prepped, everything made and prepped. I need to turn this place into a spray booth. It's 4:20. I'm not going to start spraying again, these are nights, too tired. But I'll get it set up, ready to go, so in the morning I can do that. Hopefully get a coat of primer on everything, both sides, tomorrow. And first top coat on Monday, second on Tuesday. Build on Wednesday, install Thursday, Friday. Oh, man. Crazy schedule. Anyway, there we are. That's what we do. But not for much longer. And I'm going to leave it there for this week. Thanks for watching. The videos in this series come through kind of when they're ready. So if you don't want to miss one, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell too. I'm going to leave you with a little clip from the next video in this series while I roll my Patreon credits. And I want to say thank you very much indeed to all of my Patreon pals for the support they give to the channel. And do consider joining the Patreon party at patreon.com/10minute workshop for additional exclusive content. But that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care. So a fairly solid few hours work. Get both sides of everything primed and all the edges done twice. But it looks like I'm going to be finishing off this particular job with my little Terratech cheap and cheerful HVLP sprayer, because the grey coat's playing up again. Exactly the same as it was last time. Exactly. It's been laid up for a few months. I knew I was going to need it, so I dig it out, run a quick test on it, sprays water just fine, start spraying, takes a while for it to settle down, it's a bit spitty and a bit lumpy, but then it goes okay, and then when you finish, you can't clean it, it won't spray water. Classic sign of pump failure. Honestly, 20 litres maybe, if that, I've put through it since the last pump was changed. Not impressed with this at all. Not good enough. No, it's a moot point. I'm not doing any more of these kind of jobs, so I don't really care, but it's so annoying. I don't know. Just maddening. So yeah, anyway, I dug the little Terratech HVLP out from under the bench, gave it a very quick sort of dust off, plugged it in, and it sprays just fine, so I'll be using that to finish off this job. Not exactly thrilled about the prospect, because it means I've got to thin all the paint down and fanny about with all that other stuff. But there we go. That's how it is. But yeah, this job is just turning into the biggest thing. Anyway, enough.